I think the lesson of today is if you're going to throw a temper tantrum because one of your team members knocked you down, maybe don't go take out 75% of your team doing the exact same thing, right?
Yeah, people in glass houses and such.
Throwing it's like, oh, it's not a good look. He makes it so hard to be a fan of him when he does some things like this.
Yeah, so if you're not aware, if you haven't watched the MotoGP race yet, you should have by now. But on the Sunday GP race in Balaton Park, going into turn 1, Martin tried to make up a bunch of places on the inside, got way out of shape, out of control, and basically just bowling balled through the field.
Took out basically 3 of the 4 Aprilias gone in one fell swoop.
Took out Bez himself, obviously. Took out Bez, took out Raul Fernandez, took out Digia, who was able to get going again, which was
able
great.
To rejoin.
Took out Aldergay.
Right. Who already was recovering from a leg injury.
Just an absolute disaster of a race.
I'm going to tell you what I saw, and tell me if you saw the same thing or if I'm out in the dark. It seemed to me, watching the multitudes of replays we got, is that he went to the brakes, released the brake, and went back to the brake. So part of me wonders if he couldn't get the stupid Holeshot device to release on the front brake. And that's part of what might have exacerbated the situation.
I didn't, watching it back, I didn't get the impression that he took like 2 stabs at it, other than I think he went to the brakes hard enough that the front locked and slid.
Oh, and then he gave up.
And he had to give up a bit to get it back. And then at that point, then it's tank slapping and bucking and off he goes. There's no chance to make a stop at that point. I thought it was impressive to hear. They don't always do this, but the team manager for Aprilia, the factory team, Rivola, no.
Tardazzi.
No, I'm blanking. I'm blanking on his name right now. Somebody will remember his name, and I'm sorry. Very quickly came out and did almost like a press release interview about the race and basically apologizing to the other teams. And in his most disappointed dad voice was just, this is not a mistake that is acceptable for a world champion. Kind of, right. I mean, very much calling out Martin, but you have to have known better. 2
races ago, you threw a little temper tantrum because this happened to you.
Yeah.
And then you go kind of pull the same thing. It's
I think the other thing that bugs me is watching it, I instantly had a flashback. He did this exact same stunt in Motegi last year.
Right. This is the second time he's wiped out his teammate.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time. I remember him doing this at Ducati a handful of times.
Yeah.
Diving up the inside, braking late, thinking you're going to pull this off. I mean, all right, let's stop throwing stones at Martin. I think it brings up a couple other things. Holeshot devices. Ironically, you sent me the article. They decided to get rid of them after the summer break on Saturday, the day before the race.
Yeah.
And it's like, just get rid of them now, right?
Well, yeah, and what I couldn't get my head around is they finally said, yep, we're getting rid of them, guys. Good news, we're getting rid of them. And it's like, in 2 more races, well, 3 technically at the time. In 3 more races, we'll get rid of them. So are the next 3 races safe? And then after that, they're not safe? Like, what are we waiting for? Just pull them now.
Yeah, nobody likes them.
Yeah.
Everyone is. And then the second thing, let's talk about Balaton Park here for a minute. Mm. So what? It's like 1.8 miles, 37 corners, and 13 chicanes, right? And it's like...
That's a slight exaggeration, but...
No, that's the exact numbers. That is science. But there's even one of the chicanes, like the helicopter shots, you could see they could have got rid of one of the chicanes and done a big fast sweeper instead of. But again, diving into like turn 1 being a chicanes, I am convinced now are not safer. They seem to cause more problems than they solve, right? Like the whole idea of a chicane is we're going to slow the riders down. They're not going to be carried enough speed, whatever. But man, we're having so many big crashes in these stupid chicanes. And one of the chicanes at Balaton Park isn't even just like a chicane. It cuts back on itself. It's more than a 90-degree turn. And you're like, oh my gosh, like it just takes the flow out of it.
Well, even the turns 1 and 2, turn 1 is more than 90.
Yeah.
And it doubles back kind of onto itself. It is annoying as a turn 1 because you couldn't have funneled the riders into a single line better than they did at Balaton Park. They all have to converge to a single point in order to get set up for turn 2 at all.
Just to get through turn 2. Not even like set up for it, just to get through turn 2.
Yeah, so it's I don't like the way they have that thing set up. It's just like it is tailor-made for these types of incidents, and this is not the first time we've seen it happen here, and it'll continue to happen until we do something different with this track.
Whereas we go back to Mugello. Mugello is a motorcycle-centric track. It's just like Phillip Island, lots of big, fast-flowing corners. The racing was better. The crashes were fewer. You know, no injuries, no drama, just really great racing.
Well, and Mugello does have its own chicanes, right? There's several left-right chicanes in Mugello.
But they're way bigger.
They're way
I've been
bigger.
to Mugello, right? Like they're nothing like
they don't have the same. There are spots where, depending on how a rider crashes, either in the first one or in the transition between the first and second one, that he or the bike can wind up back on track later.
Right, which
it is possible.
Was it Mugello where Pecco got his leg run over? Was that track where he went off in the chicane and slid back onto the track, and I think Brad Binder ran over his leg?
He got the Holeshot.
I don't remember what track, but it was. I think it's the similar thing to what you're talking about.
It is. Yeah,
where you have a slide and you just end up right back.
Well, it was at Balaton Park last year when it happened to Bezecchi, or not Bastianini.
Oh, right.
He had the crash, and the problem is when you do the chicanes and they're really tight, it's like a flop, like left right immediately. There's no time. As soon as the bike goes down, it's going to come right back across the track
because that energy has to go somewhere, and now there's no more rubber slowing it down. To those who think I'm going to layer down, this is what happens when you layer down. Metal and plastic has very low coefficient of friction. It just likes to skitter along.
Yeah, you are not going to slow down nearly the way you think you will when it's on its side. I promise. I don't like this track for MotoGP. I actually think this track is probably a blast on a small bike.
Oh, right. I was looking at it thinking like an RC390. I'll bet the Moto 3 kids.
I would almost say even Moto 2 is probably pretty fun on this track.
600s, possibly. It's hard to. Those chicanes just looked so freaking tight.
Yeah, I think as a racing track, this is probably a tough track regardless because it's so tight. But I think to go ride on this track on like a middleweight or smaller, it's probably a fun track. But you watch MotoGP and it's like, this is not what these vehicles were built to do.
Well, and I don't see the 800s making 850s making this any better. I could see the exact same situation. They're going to carry more cornering speed, right? Because they're lighter. They're going to be easier to transition from side to side. It's not going to solve this problem. Now, getting rid of the Holeshots could potentially solve the problem. I think that article that you sent me also said that they're going to spread them out further on their starting grid.
So the rows are going to be 12 meters apart instead of 9. I think that was what it was.
Yeah. And again, like we talked about this before, does that put a bigger disadvantage on someone who has bad luck during qualifying? They're going to be even, like if you're in row 3 or 4, you're a long ways back now.
It will be even harder. It will be even harder to have a good enough start to make up any spots because they're just that much further ahead than you.
3 meters per row?
3 extra meters per row is kind of a lot.
Yeah, so 3, 9, 12, 16, you're getting a big distance.
So, but will it make it safer? Maybe. I mean, I guess it has to make it somewhat safer because the most dangerous would be to put them all lined up side by side and let them go at it. That would be more dangerous. Or do we go back to
Le Mans starts? You got to run your motorcycle and start it.
You'd have eight bikes on the side that they couldn't get started because they have to bump them. And
right. Or like this guy has a leg injury, so he's hobbling over to his motorcycle. And yeah, it's really unfortunate. I think especially the contrast from Mugello last week.
You couldn't get, maybe Phillip Island would be more opposite ends of the spectrum, but Mugello's about as far away.
And then how good the racing was. Because the racing, we had a few minutes of epic, phenomenal racing. Freaking Pedro, I think I made the joke last podcast that this motorcycle is not letting his talent shine and at the same time making his talent really shine. Because Pedro rode the wheels off of that KTM. I cannot wait to see him and Marquez on the same equipment next year.
You know what's interesting when I was watching the race? So those two were head of the class. Like they were a step above everybody all weekend long.
Well, when you take all the Aprilias out, they didn't really have any, they didn't have any competition.
Yeah, you watch the two of them escape out of turn one. You're like, well, that's your race right there.
Pretty much, it was over. I thought for sure they were going to red flag it. Part of me was hoping they would red flag
just because of how disruptive
it was.
it was.
Crap. Like it's like so many like. Oh, come on.
It's a good point. Anyway,
it's a short track. They got that cleaned up fast to be able to like.
Yes. And I think partially because the speed actually in that corner is not that high. So it's not like you scattered parts all over the place. And
there was a lot of debris on the outside of turn one.
Yeah, but I think just the speed, it doesn't go as far. And fortunately, nobody had to get carted off. I think they all walked out, which was good.
Which is really good. Yeah.
But speaking of the race with Pedro and Marc, I want to talk about Marc more in a second, but the race specifically, it was such a great example of the KTM does a few things really well. I think it can kind of brake and steer in and do kind of mid-corner corrections pretty well. I think it does a terrible job of putting power down coming out of corners. It does not seem to load the rear anywhere near like the Ducati can do. You'd watch him come out of corners. Anytime there was a chance to actually accelerate onto any sort of a straight or an arc of any kind, Marc's bike would dig in and pull and drive off that thing, even though he was on the harder rear tire.
Right.
Whereas you'd see Pedro, he would just pull in on Pedro as they come out of corners because that bike just could not put any power into the tire, like into the ground. It did seem like Pedro was able to brake like crazy and steer in hard on the front end. I don't think he had wheels in line for a single corner. Right. It looked like flat tracking for him. He was all over the place, but it worked for him. He had enough control to do it. So I think the KTM, it's almost like how the old Honda was such a front end friendly bike and kind of terrible on the rear.
The KTM is basically a knockoff of the Honda.
Yeah,
so it stands to reason.
I think it's making him, it's allowing him, I shouldn't say, it's not making him, it's allowing him to look very heroic on the bike because the one thing it does really good, unfortunately, it's good for fighting, but it's not good for winning. Whereas Marc has to be a little more calm on the front end, a little more calm mid-corner, but if he's smooth, he can get the grip and drive out and put together a faster lap, an ultimate faster race.
And then like Marc's freaking racecraft, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're sitting there talking, it's going to take 5 laps for the medium rear to come in. And Pedro, like it's like a 2-second gap or 3-second gap, I think.
Not quite that big, but he'd pulled the gap pretty quick.
And then we hit 5 laps and then like ding, 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 ding. He was right there. And then we had a fantastic battle for like 2 laps, good, clean racing.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a bump, but I don't think it was just kind of like I would call that your very typical racing incident. It didn't look to me like anybody was trying to block bump.
Yeah. I mean, that is so slow.
Stupid chicane.
Yeah, it's so slow that they're going to make they're going to bump a little bit on those type of corners. So none of that was like out of line by any means. Though.
Yeah, I didn't see anything out of line. And then even after the race, you watch, Marc wins and Pedro comes up and like squeezes his leg as he rides by and fist bumps him. And, again, like we talked about this last week and it's made it so much more fun to me, the professionalism between these riders. And perhaps it's all show for the cameras and they actually all hate each other and but I don't think so because it would be easier to just ignore your compatriot and nobody would notice, but they do. They all seem to they enjoy the fight. They enjoy the race. They enjoy that competition.
It seems like at the very least, there's a lot of shared respect amongst everybody. No one is being disrespectful.
Right, which it hasn't always been that way.
Yeah. But speaking of Marc, so this was his 100th Grand Prix win, which is a pretty big milestone. It's only him, Valentino, and Agostini.
Yep.
Who've hit that number at this point.
Yeah, they threw a stat up on there. I think you have Jorge Lorenzo.
Is he the next?
He's like 47 wins.
Yeah, but I bet he's halfway.
It's pretty far down. And then Dovizioso and Casey Stoner. That was the one. Casey Stoner had more wins than Jorge.
Okay.
And Casey Stoner, because Casey Stoner had to retire so young because of the injury, sickness, disease. But
what I liked about it though, it's now suddenly it's old man Marquez, right? Because he's by far the old man in the group at this point. And he's battling with Pedro, who's one of the younger riders still. He gets his 100th win. He does this. Now, this is going to be really funny coming from us too. But he does this celebration at the end where he's doing this motion with his hands. And this is the
6-7.
This is the ubiquitous 6-7 thing that kids do. But the funny part about that, where that stemmed from, because they did a little interview, a little clip later, they were at the hospital or something, and Crutchlow went to see Marquez, or I can't remember how the whole thing was, but Diogo Moreira was there, and Crutchlow went in and was like, how's it going? Like, he made this motion, but Crutchlow's old too. He wasn't trying to make a joke. He's like, good, bad, how are we doing? And Marquez goes, 7-Eleven. and Diogo's there, and he just falls over laughing because he's watching these two old racers just totally misunderstand what's going on. And so in the little celebration at the end, Mark does that, basically making fun of himself. Anyway, it was pretty funny to watch them. Like, Mark is now the old man within the group, and just being willing to have a laugh at himself. I like that part a lot. So.
Yeah. So something else I wanted to talk about is we got a question just on the main channel, and I think this is worth kind of diving into a little bit. But the question was basically, we had mentioned airbags, and they complained or expressed frustration at the cost of riding gear. Sure. And I think this is something that's really worth diving into because we see this problem. It is expensive, right? And, you and I are in a little bit of a unique position that we have access to the good stuff, right? And because we're picky and we do this for a living, I choose the good stuff because it's the stuff I use every day. So the question kind of comes in, is there a requirement that you run the top shelf kit, the most expensive stuff? Is that the best stuff? Do you get the Chinese cheap stuff, right? The knockoff stuff you get off of Alibaba. And I thought we could discuss this because I honestly feel like, and this is true, right? Let's talk about boots, right? The SuperTech R10 race boots, right? The
SuperTech boots, yep.
Yeah, the SuperTech street boots. Like you see all of the guys on MotoGP are wearing them. They're a very distinctive look. And yet I was in California and I watched some kid climb off of his MT-07, walk in to go get a coffee at the 7-Eleven wearing SuperTech R boots. And I don't know what his financial situation was, but based on the motorcycle and
a little bit of a mismatch. Yep. And so the question is, do you need the top shelf kit, and how low can you go before you start compromising? So let's address the commuter that you saw in the SuperTech boots first, because I've watched this. You're on Instagram, social media, influencers. There are a couple of models of items that are seen as almost this halo product. You've got to be in that one. That's the one that all the influencers wear. I see AGV Pista helmets, right? The top end carbon $2,000 helmet. Great helmet. Phenomenal helmet.
No, we both wore. I own one. You own one.
Great,
we both
helmet.
worn them. Great helmet.
Probably a little overkill on your commuter bike. I see SR10 Alpinestars helmets on
which
commuters.
Which apparently is the best-selling helmet in the country.
So some of these things almost have this halo product. Now, I think the SuperTech boots are similar. They're like you said, they're very distinctive. They're the coolest looking boot out there. I think
so, yeah.
I would also say they're phenomenal boots. They really are an amazing piece of kit.
Yes.
But is that what everyone should go and buy? No.
I'm going to say here, back to the boots, the SuperTech R10 boots or SuperTech boots. Are they the greatest boot? Yes and no. I'm lucky enough, you're lucky enough, I have the track kit and I have the street kit. The SuperTech boot is a phenomenal track boot. The sole is incredibly grippy, but the cost of an incredibly grippy sole is you can burn through them really fast. If you're walking across parking lots, you're wearing them to work, you go get a coffee with your friend, like they're not going to hold up. And it is not a cheap boot. On the on the track bike though, I'm not walking in those things. Like we all bring our little scooters, our little electric scooters, and we scooter, like we don't even walk in them.
Yeah.
I take 3 steps on them. I get on the motorcycle, I ride, I take 3 steps. When I'm done, I get on my little scooter and I scooter around. Yeah. They serve a very specific purpose. They're just going to wear out way too fast wearing them on the street.
I would say the things that you need to think about here when you're looking at gear, like genuinely buy the thing that you can afford. If it's far better to wear a helmet than to not wear a helmet, right? In general. And then the nicer the helmet, as long as it's meeting certain safety standards, beyond the safety standard, you're basically paying for features at that point.
Well, and let's hit the helmet thing really quick, right? Let's go with the Pista GPs and the SuperTech R10s, right? Right here behind me, we have the SR7 and the SR10. The SR10 is carbon fiber. It's FIM standard. It is a race helmet. But I can tell you right now, guess which one's more comfortable to wear on the street? The 7. The 7 is quieter. It's more comfortable. They're both the same size, but the 7 is significantly more comfortable, right? Like it still has kind of the same core features, but like from the day-to-day living with it, it's way nicer to carry around the $700 helmet than it is to carry around the $1,800 helmet.
Well, in the comm systems, there's like a lot of street features in some of these helmets now, right?
And I think carbon fiber is louder. It's kind of creaky. It's it's lighter, right? But it's a louder helmet. It doesn't have that same kind of experience. Now on the track, that's perfect. That's all I'm interested in. I want the highest possible standard and I want the lightest possible thing because I'm only on the bike for 15 minutes at a time, 20 minutes at a time. The gray helmet, I've done hours, literally hours. I'll wear that gray helmet more than once. I've done pressers with that thing. I've done big shoots with it. I'll be on that helmet for 8-10 hours. Yep. I'd way rather be in the gray one than in the flamey one.
Yeah, I think with the helmet thing, it's kind of decide what safety standard you want. Try on a bunch, see which one actually fits your head correctly.
Oh my gosh,
yes. I'd say fit is more important on a helmet than any other garment.
Completely agree.
So make sure you get in one that is comfortable, that you will wear, that has good visibility, and then beyond that, like softer liners or better sound deadening, all that stuff. Those are just additional features that you can live without. Wear earplugs if your helmet's loud. I always wear earplugs.
Yeah, I haven't ridden without earplugs in as long as I can remember.
And brands do this, right? Alpinestars is new to helmets, and they make a top end one and a mid tier one, right? All the other brands do that. Arai does that. Shoei does that. AGV does that. You don't need to go buy a Pista helmet. They've got lower brands that are also very good helmets.
They look the same. They have that same pointy chin. If that's like the thing you're going for.
If it's the style, right? So I'd say on helmets, like that's the thing to think about is the safety standard that you have researched and trust. Make sure it fits correctly. And then beyond that, it's like, what are you willing to pay for?
The study was done by the British Safety Institute in like 2002, 2005 timeframe. The parameters of the study were basically measuring gear based on and prioritizing it based on how little trauma resulted in a permanent injury. Okay. Right? So obviously helmets were top, right? Like it doesn't take much trauma to cause a permanent head injury. And then they went down through the gear things by that. And the results surprised me. Number 2, what do you think was number 2?
I remember us talking about this years ago and I can't recall right now.
Gloves.
Oh, gloves.
It only takes 8 pounds to separate your pinky from the rest of your hand. If you go look at like the top tier Dainese boot or gloves, Alpinestars and a couple of other do the thing, and I look for this in a glove is where they actually stitch
they're together
the 2 fingers together. You go talk to any of the old racers like Nick Einach with Yamaha Champ School. We have so many friends, their pinkies are all gimped up, right?
Or they're gone.
Or they're gone. So a lot of arm around the outside. The knuckle thing is less important than you think. That's a dirt bike thing, and I think it's a style thing.
It's a style thing, I think.
It's a style thing.
Yeah.
That's not usually, I mean, I did have a friend years ago, Jason, Jason, he crashed and his hand got trapped under the bike and he got drug and it was the armor on the back of the knuckle saved his hand. So tell me how you're going to crash. I'll tell you.
So anecdotally, they seem to be good. Yeah.
Fine. All of my gloves have the little armor things. And then the strap around the wrist so it doesn't fly off. Yeah. Right. But I look for a lot of armor on the outside of the hand.
So I'm with you on the gloves, because if you think about how you fall, and every time I've ever fallen, this is the part of the glove that gets destroyed.
Yep.
It's the pinky and then down to the palm and on the wrist. That part gets hammered every time. I've for sure got like scuffed up knuckles, but I don't know that it might have just been like general abrasion, not anything severe.
Right.
I would say the pinky armor and the palm, like lower palm, whatever you want to call that armor, that's number one. That's the most important.
And surprisingly, it's not the palm.
This part doesn't.
This happens in mountain biking and at slower speeds, but when you fall on these things, it's almost always in like here, the forearm, and even like the suits, like the suit right here, the Marc they put Kevlar. In the suit on the forearm because that hit so hard and they were generating heat. And they wanted protection.
I do see a lot of gloves that have either like extra padding or maybe even plastic, like hard armor, right at the very bottom.
Yeah,
because the gloves are probably one of the hardest. I would assume they're probably the hardest thing to engineer for safety, because you need so much articulation. So you can't have armor just anywhere, right? Because they have to operate a bike. But you also have to be able to like extend your hands very naturally and control things how you want, but then also protect them in a crash. So I would imagine hands are actually really tricky in order to get that right. So I'd say I usually, unless I'm on a dirt bike, I'm also going to get a cuffed glove too.
Well, for me, it's context.
Okay.
That on the track, my track gloves are very, very expensive gloves, typically $200 to $300 gloves. It's my hands, right?
Yeah, potentially even more than that.
Yeah,
frankly,
but like that's like kind of like I want the top shelf, all the safety feature gloves. On the street, however, and I know like a lot of the companies, they do this. They take their full racy glove and they either shrink the gauntlet or they take the gauntlet off. And I honestly, on the street, I prefer just half gloves because you get airflow up the sleeves.
So no gauntlet.
But I'm not giving up. They'll have something that kind of covers the wrist. They kind of go under your jacket through here.
Oh, okay.
Right? Around your wrist bone if you're listening. But the wrist around but it's not the full over the cuff thing, but it's all the other features. The fingers are either stitched together or they have the arm around the out. It's the same glove, only without the big gauntlet. And that's just an airflow thing. More
for comfort.
Like it's a compromise, right? I'm sacrificing a little bit of safety for a little bit more airflow.
The gauntlet, so on road racing, I think it's a requirement at almost every track.
I wouldn't even consider riding on the track without a gauntlet glove.
The gauntlet, usually they're either extra padded. So again, this part of your forearm, the early, like right below your wrist, if this is a little bulky or a little more rigid, it's not going to stop you from...
Don't notice it.
Yeah, you don't even notice it's on there.
Yeah.
But if it's a hard plastic or just an extra padded thing, it's just going to give you a little bit more protection from the impact, but also the abrasion.
And less likely the glove is going to get ripped off or torn off or snagged on something.
Yeah.
And on the track, again, all of our track kit is fully perforated. Our boots are perforated. Everything's perforated. So the airflow up the sleeve isn't even a consideration because everything's all perforated.
I don't think much about it. Yeah. So yeah, I was torn. Gloves would make the most sense is like below helmets, it's gloves. Not only because I think your hands are sort of fragile, they can be damaged very easily, but they're so important.
Yeah.
Like which one of you can do your job the way you do it right now with damaged hands?
Right.
Probably none of us, right? So yeah, I would say hands would be pretty high up on the list for protection.
Number 3 is where people get really shocked. The number 3 most important piece of safety gear, according to the study, based on how little trauma results in permanent injury was, what do you think?
It's got to be boots.
Dude, it was totally boots.
Yeah.
It was absolutely boots. And ironically, when it comes to motorcycle crash data, number 1 injuries are head. Number 2 injury is feet.
Yep.
And how many kids do you see riding around in sneakers, right?
Constantly. And guilty, like I used to do that all the time.
I've done it. Yeah, I've done it. But again, these companies are doing really great things. Well, before we talk about like some of the options, is it's typically your heel. It's your heel and your lateral and medial malleolus, which is like fun to say. But those are the little bumps on the sides of your ankle. If you reach down and touch the little bumps, imagine like just tapping one of them with a hammer, right? So at the bare minimum for a riding boot, like a lot of people think, I'm gonna go get a steel-toed boot or big chunky thing. And you're like, no, you can't feel that. That's not where the injury happens anyway.
Yeah.
It's the heel and the ankle bone. And so a lot of these companies are doing really fantastic things. They're making like a street-looking shoe that can look like a sneaker. I have a pair from Alpinestars that I freaking love. I'm a mock toe guy. I love freaking mock toe Red Wing Goodyear Welt boots. I freaking love them, but there's no safety in them. And Alpinestars came out with a pair that looks like a freaking mock toe Goodyear Welt work boot, but it has all the safety features around the heel and around the ankle. And it's the same boot that Keanu Reeves wears. So
I was waiting.
I just got to throw that out there.
I knew you were going to drop his name at some point.
But, you know, like... they make some like skate shoes. They're like a high heel, like a high ankle skate shoe, or probably the boot that I have more miles in than any other boot. I have a pair of these that probably have close to 150,000 miles in them. Is Alpinestars SMX line, and they are the most flexible, usable boot out there. Like, so if you can only buy one pair of boots, I mean, get the freaking Alpinestars started off as a boot company, right? The SMX, they look like a little sport boot. I've toured in them. I've done track days in them. I've commuted in them. I've done a million pressers in freaking Alpinestars SMX boots. Because we're in the garage. I'm gonna go grab. I have Mrs. Canyon Chaser's SMX boots here. I want to show them to you. They got to be over 20 years old. She still wears them. Like, to show you like how they hold up. For those, and we also happen to have a brand new pair of SMX boots. All right, so this is the SMX boot that she's been wearing.
Style-wise, those look so old.
They do look old.
Suffice it to say, these are well-loved, though.
Yeah, they are well-loved. She adores these boots. She's done track days with them. She's toured with them. She even had a crash in them. It kind of hit the toe, if you see right there. It's a minor crash. It was okay. But yeah, these things have held up for years. You can put pants over them. The top isn't so big. The armor on the front, I've had situations where I was doing a press event with Honda last year and we were lane splitting and a piece of crap came off a lawnmower truck and it bounced up and it hit me right on the front of my SMX boot, right there on the shin. I didn't even feel it, and away I went. It was totally fine. And you can even see the bottom. The bottom is completely...
All right, so you have your top-end Super Tech boot, right? If you look at those things, they're really cool. There's like an outer boot and an inner boot. The inner boot is kind of a sleeve you put on. It has a little drawstring cinch, and the hinge mechanism is all built into that boot. What that then lets them do is the outer boot is almost like a sleeve sock kind of thing that goes over, and it has the hard plastic, but the leather as well for abrasion and so forth on it. So it makes for a really interesting kind of safety package. The things that I would prioritize with boots, though, the SuperTech that boot is a phenomenal boot. It's
the standard.
It's a phenomenal boot. You are absolutely getting an amazing thing. It is like $650. That is an expensive boot.
Oh yeah.
I would say if I'm going to prioritize a boot, though, the things I'm going to look for is is it comfortable enough that I can wear, right?
And walk in. I think especially if you're going to be as a street rider, you want something you can
You're going to wear, you're not going to carry an extra pair of shoes with you.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to walk around this thing and not have it look absurd wherever you go. I would look for something that does have some sort of ankle hinge mechanism.
Absolutely, right.
I want a boot that's going to have some sort of protection from overextending my ankle.
100%.
Right? If you break your Achilles tendon, very catastrophic.
Again, same thing. It's
years of recovery, literally years of recovery to come back from something like that. Now, again, a hinge isn't a guarantee that you won't damage it, but it is extra protection.
Everything's mitigating risk, right? Like,
So I would say comfort, is the armor quality? Does it have a hinge somewhere on it? Is the inside of the boot smooth?
So it doesn't snag.
Because I don't want the boot to snag on a heel guard or on something else.
I'm going to throw a company under the bus. They knew this was a problem, but CD Boots, remember, this is I don't think they make them the same way, but they had the whole exterior hinge. And we were all excited when they first came out. It was the first boot that really had this big hinge to prevent not only the hyperextension, but also kept you from like rolling your ankle, which is a big problem. But it would grab the heel guard on every motorcycle to the point where you would try to go to the shifter or try to go to the brake and your foot was stuck and you couldn't get your foot off the heel guard.
Or you roll up to a stoplight and you're hooked up on the bike and you can't hardly get a foot
fall
down.
over. Yeah, it was so that's a big factor.
So smooth on the inside. The other thing, and I don't think manufacturers don't brag or advertise about this enough, it's the weight of the boot.
Oh, right. Do you remember those Puma boots?
They were like hammers tied to
They
your
were
feet.
they were like the Thor hammers. They were so heavy.
So go if you can, if you're not familiar with these, for a while.
I'm pretty sure they're not in the motorcycle business anymore, so they're not going to be upset that we're saying
Puma
this.
tried to make motorcycle boots, and they made these.
You and I both got like a free set.
I got a set of these, and they gave them to they were a gift. And I was like, okay, I'll try them. And I remember
looked really cool.
They looked cool. If you go look them up now, again, time has probably not been kind to the design of those. They probably don't look cool
when
anymore.
When they came out, we thought they looked like the future. You felt
cool.
like a freaking Halo.
But they weighed a ton. And I remember trying them on and wearing them on the track. And I remember thinking, if I get in a crash and I'm tumbling and I've got these hammers, tied to my feet.
There was a lot of armor around the heel.
Yeah, how much extra energy am I putting into my knee or my hip or
as those things fling around?
So you don't want to go get tumbled, but these things happen. I prioritize having a light, slim boot that's not going to snag and hook up and catch things, but does have the armor where I need the armor. So do you need to go out and buy the Super Tech? No, there's multiple steps below that within Alpinestars, within other brands.
And I think you can get them without compromising. So just as for fun, we do have a brand new SMX. This is the brand new SMX 6.
She's finally getting new boots, it looks like.
Yeah, well, and it does have a hinge on it, and you can see it's really simplified. I haven't even taken the tags off it yet. It's smooth on the inside. But like I showed you how the toe was all hammered, it now has like rubber that kind of comes up over the toe.
Cap it. Yep.
And I think this thing doesn't look all futuristic. You could still get your pants over the top of it, or you could wear it with a suit. Mm-hmm. Like, it's such a flexible boot.
I think it's important. Like, there are certain features that I wouldn't buy a boot without them.
Yes,
but there's certain features that are like, unless it's for a track specific purpose or something, I'm not going to spend the money on that. I'm not going to put a Super Tech on the street. It's just silly.
Yeah, I think like if you're only buying one boot, like I'd recommend the SMXs, or if you're not planning on doing any track days, get like one of the ones that match your style. Mm-hmm. Like I'm an old fart, so I love the freaking Keanu Reeves boots, but he and I are closer in same age. Maybe you're like, that's what old men wear. Get like one of the sneakery looking ones, Yeah,
I would say you want something that definitely goes over the ankle and has armor to protect your ankle and your foot.
And look at the heel and the ankle bones are like typically, it's not your toes that get smashed. Everyone thinks like, and in fact, we've seen situations where steel toe boots caused a bigger problem than not. And not to mention you can't feel the shifter.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry as much about my toes in a crash. It's not like they're totally impervious, but very low on my list of concerns.
Well, and again, when I was new to riding, armor inside of jackets didn't exist. Full face helmets were kind of novelty. Like nobody really was wearing full face helmets. Everyone was wearing the 3/4. A kid from the 70s, right? And riding a motorcycle in that era was really comfortable. Like you just put on a jacket. You would ride in a Levi jacket and leather work gloves. And maybe your mock toes. I mean, that's what Steve McQueen did desert racing in his Red Wing mock toes and a denim jacket. Like that was the top shelf gear. And now we keep adding all these layers of protection. And it's a little warmer. It's a little bit more heavier. Of a hassle. Yeah. It's you're buying specific things. It's a little bit more expensive. But I will also say, the comfort of riding in appropriate gear that fits and is designed to work on a motorcycle is a big deal.
Yeah.
It enhances the experience.
Let's talk about jackets.
Jackets were number 4 on the list.
What are you looking for when you buy a jacket typically?
I want something to be adaptable to the climate. Mm-hmm. Because if a jacket's too hot or if it's too cold, you're just, I think especially too hot. I think too hot is a bigger concern now. Is if it's too hot, you're not going to wear it. And I see people riding around in t-shirts. So something with adequate venting, I prefer exponentially to a high degree vents that are openable and closable. I don't like full mesh jackets. And part of that is when you live in a dry climate, that much airflow, you actually dehydrate and you don't actually cool down. You actually need to create what they call like a microclimate inside the jacket. So vents that open and close. And then depending on use case, waterproofing.
Right.
So I know we're talking like if you can only own one, I typically have two jackets that I rely on, a summer weight one and a winter weight one. And the summer weight one typically is barely water resistant, but it has lots of big vents that open and close.
Right.
In the video that's going to be coming out this week, you're going to see me wearing it. It's like this beige jacket, but all the panels open up.
You've got all these vents all over the place.
Huge vents that open and close. Whereas if you've been watching the videos over the last couple months over winter, it's a gray jacket. It's totally waterproof, but the vents are almost always closed on it. You can open them if it warms up, but
with certain things, you have to kind of buy the one that can do everything, or it's a compromise, but it can kind of do everything, right? If you're going to go buy a car,
you buy a crossover.
This is why people buy SUVs. Right. It's because I can kind of do whatever I need to with the thing, right? That's why they're so common.
Sedans have died.
But in a perfect world, you'd have 5 cars, one that can do all the different things perfectly, right? With gear, I kind of feel the same way. So I get having a summer jacket and a winter jacket. When I ride off-road, it's very much a layering process.
Right.
It's all for the conditions.
Back in the day, armor wasn't a thing. My very first for true motorcycle jacket, I was so excited. It had the open cell foam.
A bit of foam in
the elbows and in the shoulders. I'm like, this is the safest I'll ever be, And then like armor came out and it looked like the catcher at a baseball game, right?
It was hard plastic with like sewn fabric on the inside.
Yeah, and you put that on, you're like, oh, this is the safest I'll ever be. And then came the Non-Newtonian armor, but it was really thick and cumbersome. Heavy. And now it's like wafer thin with these hexagon patterns, and the new modern armor is phenomenal. And like the D3O kind of stuff, I think D3O is a name brand. I think even D3O has been superseded by some of the newer stuff that Revit and those guys are doing. It's so thin you don't even hardly notice there's armor in the jacket. But I will not ride without elbow, shoulders, and back armor in a jacket. Like that's the bare minimum.
I was going to say again, it's funny as safety gear engineering, you have to look at what the rider's body needs to do in order to perform the task. And then you can put armor around that, but you have to allow them to still do what they need to do.
Right.
The problem comes in when your high impact areas, like if you think about a fall, your elbow, your shoulder.
We can't like talking to the track. Right. Like you're always going to land on your forearm. Your elbow is going to hit the ground.
So you need armor that wraps around your elbow to protect the bone. If you've ever fallen on concrete or something hard on your elbow,
dude,
like on the point,
hit your elbow on the door when you're
pretty miserable.
You're like doing you're hitting your funny bone. Yeah.
Yeah. So you want armor there, and then on the forearm as well, because this does take a lot of impact. Fortunately, this part doesn't have a hinge in it, so you can actually have pretty thick, beefy armor on your forearm, and there's really no consequence to your riding.
Right.
The shoulder's another story, though. Right?
Shoulder is one of the most complicated joints in your body.
Yeah, it has to move in all kinds of ways. I have to use it when I'm riding, but I also, odds are if I fall, I'm probably going to hit my shoulder at some point. So you see a lot of really, like heavy engineering goes into designing safe shoulder protection. You see like on your suit behind you, and a lot of brands do this, but Alpinestars, they do like a hard external plastic on the outside.
Right, and then the D3O or the Non-Newtonian on the inside. So it's actually a two-phase armor across your shoulder.
But the idea with a lot of these hard plastics or metals, Dionysi really does a lot of metal stuff
Titanium
on the corners.
Things, yeah.
It's to minimize abrasion and not have it catch and spin you or tumble you.
You want it to slide. Yeah. You actually want you look at the MotoGP suits, they all have like the elbow sliders. Not only is it cool to watch them drag their...
It looks cool.
you've actually touched an elbow without crashing. I haven't done that. But it also, it keeps it, so if you do fall, you slide as opposed to digging in and tumbling.
Yeah.
Because once you introduce a tumble,
all bets are off.
and everything gets more complicated, right? It's better to slide than it is to tumble.
But yeah, so you see a lot of them do these kind of hard plastics in the high impact areas. It looks cool. There's kind of a style element to it, of course, for sure. It does actually dissipate the energy outward better, but it also keeps you from starting a tumble or rolling. So I don't know, those are the things I would look for in a suit though. I'm with you. I think a lot of your jackets are all textile though, right?
I have a handful of leather jackets. I like, again, because I'm old, I love a classic leather
the look of it.
I love a freaking leather jacket. And here's one of the cool things about like a lot of this modern technology. My favorite riding jacket was cutting edge 1980s riding tech. It is a old school vintage Vanson, hard, like dense, no nylon panels, no venting, just a solid leather jacket, not a stitch of armor, right? But with like these modern technologies, like you can go buy these hoodies. I think Alpinestars has them. A bunch of companies have them. So it's just a hoodie with this thin non-Newtonian armor in it that's really thin, and you wear it under your favorite leather jacket, and now you have like that old school look with like modern armor inside the jacket. When Danny was here from Alpinestars, she was talking about passive armor and active armor. I never really thought about it in those terms, but it was an interesting way to think about like all these passive pieces of armor inside of a jacket to help just reduce injury, reduce that impact when you fall, right? And there was a very famous YouTuber who came out with a video saying, don't wear armor, take all the armor out of your jacket because it doesn't prevent broken bones. And that was the last video I ever watched, because I thought that was just idiotic, because it may not prevent a broken bone, but it's still going to reduce injury. It's still going to mitigate. Not every crash is going to be like slamming in the ground at a high intensity. When Mitch Bain was here on the podcast, he was saying that the most crashes happen at under 35 miles an hour. If having a little piece of foam over my elbow or over my shoulder, if I fall off at 30 miles an hour, is going to help mitigate whatever that injury may be, I'm taking it. 100% I'm taking it,
It's phenomenal to think, all this engineering and technology, it can't possibly be helping. It's like, are you out of your mind that it's not? Like, it matters a ton to have a little bit of armor to help protect from some of these impacts. So
how many people have we seen fall on the racetrack, and it looks bad.
Yeah.
And they get up and they dust themselves off, go check out their bike and go ride the next session.
Yeah.
You're not doing that wearing a Levi jacket.
Yeah. I think that's nuts. Do you, other than the style of it, do you have any preference for textile versus?
I think if you're looking to only buy a single thing, a textile jacket with open and closable vents you're going to get the most out of it. You can layer with it, kind of what you were talking about. It's going to have the armor, you have vents you can close. It's going to have a level of waterproofing or water resistance with it. And the cool thing with textiles is, for an incredibly reasonable price, you can get a lot of really high zoot bang on features for a fraction of what you would have to pay for leather. But I will say, and again, because I'm an old school guy, a textile jacket to me, I like a 4-pocket textile jacket with a rabbit pouch. And a rabbit pouch is the pocket in the small of your back. I can't imagine riding without a jacket without a rabbit pouch. The stuff you can stuff in there. You put your hat in there. You put your neck gaiter in there. You put a map in there.
Quick access stuff.
Yeah, quick access stuff. And it's just completely out of the way, as opposed to trying to stick it in your pockets.
The things you mentioned for it, one of my concerns when people have lots of pockets is what they put in them.
Don't put a pen or a skewering
device.
Like
imagine you put your cell phone in your breast pocket, and then you go have a crash and you've got a cell phone shaped collapsed,
right,
rib or whatever. So yeah, be mindful of what you're carrying on your person.
What I've noticed from a lot of the higher end companies is they will put the pockets kind of around your belly.
Soft parts,
right? And even like the new Alpinestars jacket that I have, I hate keyless entry on motorcycles. I hate it. But it has a special keyless entry key fob pocket in the jacket that's completely out of the way. Because it was always like, do I put it in this pocket? Do I put it up here on my chest? I don't like, you know, and that's, so again, they're getting more thoughtful with some of these things, but I like the idea of having pockets down where it's less against bones and things.
Yeah. I will say one thing on the material of the jacket, then we can kind of move on from that, is the reason why why leather is still an option, even though there's these advanced textiles and stuff now, and why all of your racing suits are still leather, is in high speed abrasion, nothing is better than leather still.
Right.
That's why you don't. Now, I think there actually is at least one, maybe two brands that are making a non-leather racing suit.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of them out at the track. That,
And I don't know much about them. Maybe they're perfectly adequate and they're fine. But the reason why all these brands still make leather for suits and for high-speed kind of styled gear is it's going to deal with abrasion better than textile.
Well, and I think it's even, yes, that's 100% true. But also it can handle multiple abrasions.
Yeah.
Like a textile jacket or even textile pants, we've always called them like one-hit wonder jackets. You get one fall.
Yeah.
It's likely, like, it's...
That thing's probably toast when you're done.
We know dudes out at the racetrack who they show up looking like they got there by being dragged behind a truck. Yep. And the leather is abraded and scuffed, but there's not a single hole in it.
Yeah.
You know? And for, you know, like, racing is... You're going to fall if you're going to be racing. And leather is just the more practical. I still prefer leather. I think there's a comfort level in leather that there's... I don't know. I think it's maybe how I grew up in my childhood that putting on a leather jacket, it's like putting on armor. It kind of gives you like a
security.
Yeah, it's like a security blanket. I feel safe wearing leather that nylon doesn't give you.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm with you.
It's just kind of like, yeah, you know.
Even though these synthetic materials have gotten extremely good and you feel them and they just feel like a tough material, it just isn't going to do what leather can do in terms of like abrasion.
It's not the slide that you're preparing for on the street. It's the impact.
Yeah.
And your primary points of impact, your military, your butt's one of them. So to wear the chaps where there's nothing over the butt or no armor over the knees, you know, like you're preparing for a situation that's pretty unlikely. It's better to have the armor for when you hit the ground. The sliding's less of a concern.
Well, let's talk about pants next. I do want to touch on that point though. If you go find any leather suit, like a race suit like that one there, if you go look at the like butt panel, it is panels. There are layers of leather.
2 to 3 typically.
Because that is such a high abrasion. Your natural tendency in a crash, especially if it's a long slide, is to like orient yourself upright. You maybe on your back still, but you're going to orient yourself onto your back.
Even the photo from the crash today, Jorge Martín is sliding on his bottom.
I've done it multiple times where I have fallen on the track and unless you're tumbling, you end up orienting yourself kind of upright, but you're on your butt every time. So yeah.
My biggest mountain bike crash was sliding down a very steep, it was like where the mountain had sloughed off. I was on a trail and it was like a big rain year and the whole mountain had sloughed off. I didn't really, woo, you know? And I slid down for a long way on my bottom. I was uninjured. The bike is like tumbling, I thought it was going to be the end of Dave. But like I just slid on my bottom all the way down using my feet to stop myself and my shorts were destroyed. But
luckily not all of you was destroyed.
All of me was destroyed. Yeah. So like your bottom is so think about that, you know?
A lot of these brands, I know a lot of folks don't want to go walk around in leather pants everywhere they go.
I don't want to walk around in leather pants. We all saw that Friends episode where Ross can't go to get out of his leather pants.
But there are plenty of brands that sell what looks like a pair of jeans that is armored or extra thick or has protection built into it. You have experience with those?
I have a lot of experience with those. You see me wearing a pair of blue jeans that I've had forever. They have the Non-Newtonian thin armor in the knees and hips. They just look like a pair of blue jeans. I wear them all the time. I have a couple other just jean pants. I have textile riding pants from like all the big companies. I struggle with textile riding pants because they are so miserable to walk in. I'm only typically going to wear like a textile riding pant if I know it's going to be like an all-day thing. I'm on a tour. I'm doing like
Right.
a 10 or 15 day tour. That's what I'm going to wear. But I think the greatest budget option out there, crash tested by multiple people, is freaking go buy the Made in America Carhartt pant, and they have the clean out fronts. They're double fronts, and you can put knee armor into the knees, and they're unbelievably comfortable. They have incredible abrasion protection for what they are. There's no hip armor, but again, it's a compromise, and you're dealing with, like, if you're looking for a price point thing, I ride a ton in Carhartt pants with armor stuffed up into the knees.
So Carhartt, if you're listening, we are willing. We
sponsored us
accept
for years.
Advertisements.
No, they sponsored us for years because of that. Yeah, I have a hope. Yeah, they, and we know a lot of people that still ride in Carhartts but you got to buy the American ones. There's all these new Carhartts that are thin and they're just like
designer.
Jeans are getting thin and whatever. You got to go get like the real American made, thick. Dude, they stand up on their own. Like they're not the most comfortable things when they're new, but I have a pair that, again, I probably have 50,000 miles in them.
Yep.
You can buy D3 armor or whatever armor, and they go up in there. They stay in there. Don't dry them. You can wash them with the armor in them, and they're just riding pants now. They go over boots really well.
Do you want to talk about airbags for a second?
I think we should talk about airbags because airbags are a new experience for me.
Yep.
And I was reluctant to the airbag thing just because I think I knew this would happen. I've never deployed an airbag. You have. But once you start riding in an airbag, riding without one starts to feel like riding without a helmet.
You feel pretty naked without it.
Do you know how I was talking about with the leather jacket that I feel like I'm putting on armor and it's kind of like this snuggy thing? The Super Tech, what is it? No, the Tech Air 5 Plasma, which has a back protector built into it.
It's like the street.
It's the street one, and it has a button on it that you can put it in dirt mode, track mode, again, if you can only buy one. It has the back protectors built into it, so you can take the back protector out of all of your jackets because it's on the thing, and then it's really tight against you. It starts to feel like that warm hug. It's this very comforting thing. And yeah, like Troy from motorcycle.com, I consider him a good friend. He got hit by a car when he was testing like the very first Tech Air 5. And he sent it to Alpinestars and they measured how much joules of energy or whatever. And he was completely uninjured. And every time I run into him, he's like, yeah, I won't ride without one anymore. Yep. It's so thin. It fits under everything. And it just gets this, you're just adding so much safety with like, other than the cost, they're not especially cheap. I think they're like $800, I think, for the Tech Air 5.
Yeah. And this is one of the, so there's a couple different brands. So Alpinestars makes them as this vest sort of system.
They even have like biker ones that look like a Carhartt vest kind of thing.
Other brands build them and they're more built into the gear itself or the garment itself. I think one of the things that I really like about sort of the vest style systems is it can move from garment to garment.
Oh yeah.
And that, like, you buy like your Tech Air 5, whatever, Plasma, that you just have the one of those.
I've worn it already. I've had it since I got it like in January, February. It's been underneath 8 different jackets and a leather suit.
Yeah.
So like,
and that's kind of the nice thing with that design. And then even if one does deploy, that garment may be destroyed. The crash may have destroyed the jacket or the suit or whatever you're in. The odds are, though, the airbag's fine.
Right. There's no abrasion protection with the airbag itself. I think my buddy Jake at Spite's Corner, he was riding in just the thing, and he goes, "Don't ever do this. I'm only doing this so you can see what it is." But he goes, "It's just spandex.
There's not much to it.
It's not going to have any abrasion protection."
But I guess that's the thing I kind of like about it is that airbag can move from garment to garment. Speaking of which, I hadn't even planned to talk about this, but the crash that I had on track a little while ago, I'm going to take the airbag out of that suit and go put it in the new suit.
Yeah.
And it's the airbag's fine. It's not bothered at all.
It's totally right. Yeah.
So,
and I love that the back protectors are built into them. And again, you go back to like, if I want to wear like my old school, badass, cool Vanson
You're
coat.
the only one that thinks it's badass, Dave.
No,
just
no.
So we're
it's whenever I wear it in a video, people are like, "What's that jacket?" No, it's not like it's just a freaking old cafe racer jacket, like with a little pocket. Anyway, but you can put that on underneath it, and I don't have elbow armor. I do get some shoulder protection from the airbag, but Troy, who we were just talking about with motorcycle.com, he has a really good relationship with Vanson. He's like, they'll put armor in that thing for you.
Oh.
And I was like, oh.
Maybe for Dave's birthday, we'll get him armor.
Put some armor in it. But I just, like, I love that you can look the way you want to look. And I think that's completely reasonable without having to make all these big safety compromises. Unless the way you want to look is a guy wearing a leather vest with no shirt and a bandana on your head. And
I bet you're not watching our video.
Yeah, I don't think you're watching our video. Like
you're not here.
The assless chaps, like you want to look like a rodeo.
But yeah,
bull rider.
I'm with you. I think that the airbag's gotten to the point now where I can't really imagine riding without one. So I would say it's sort of a necessary piece of equipment. The one thing is, again, you pointed out the price of these things.
That's the hardest part, and that's what kind of stemmed this whole conversation was. We talked a long time about this one person. He's like, it's so expensive. It's so hard.
Yeah.
But
I think this was worthwhile for a lot of folks to hear how we would think about prioritizing where you spend money, maybe where you could save a bit. The airbag, though, where I land with this is, yes, they are not free. They are expensive. You're going to spend $800 or whatever to get one. That will probably be your airbag system for a decade or longer.
Make good choices in how you're shopping and where you spend your money. I know the temptation is, and I know this because I've done this, is to spend all your money on a really sick jacket.
Yeah.
Because that's cool. And it is cool. And like a cool motorcycle jacket, it's like a big thing. But it maybe put more money towards the helmet and gloves and boots and get a simpler jacket and save up for the airbag. Pants are a lower priority. You can you don't have to go spend all this money all at once. And if you're a lifetime rider, which I want all of you to be, you're going to end up with a closet full of kit.
Yeah.
And rather than buy the cheap stuff from Alibaba, I think Doodle Carolyn just did a big thing about the problem with counterfeit armor out there. Rather than buy crap off of Amazon that you don't know, shop your local shops and buy things on sale.
Yeah.
You can save yourself a fortune.
Yeah.
Just buying last year's colors. And even when it comes to helmets, I've done this for years. Helmets have a 5-year shelf life. You buy one that's 2 or 3 years old, on the shelf, hasn't ever been worn, it'll be half the price. And so, you can get into it. I wear helmets a lot. Usually after 2-3 years, they're getting kind of old and manky anyway, and so I'm happy to buy a 2 or 3 year old helmet and,
Yeah, I think the shopping deals is the right answer. There are deals to be had for sure. So you don't have to go spend, $5,000 outfitting yourself to go ride a motorcycle. You don't have to spend that kind of money for it. So anything else on gear you want to get over?
I just would like to say, please, please, please do not go into your local shop, try on all their gear, take the salesperson's time, and then go home and buy it off of Amazon. That really hurts. That hurts a local shop to pay a kid to help you find all your things, get you your sizing right.
Yeah.
And then go buy a counterfeit off of Amazon, because we don't know if anything comes off of Amazon is the actual thing anymore.
Yeah. Well, and I've worked at a dealership, you've worked at a dealership. Yep. I've watched plenty of people come and do that or argue with the parts guy like, well, this is, $3 cheaper over here. And it's like, if you're that guy, I guess go be that guy, but yeah, try not to be that guy.
If you build a relationship with a local shop, so that Martin helmet that's sitting right there, right? Like, I bought that with my own money. That wasn't given to me, but my local dealership gave me a really good price on it because I have a long-standing relationship with them. They took care of me. And again, build these relationships, I think we're all kind of exhausted of the digital AI nonsense. This is like a great opportunity to go talk to real people.
Yeah. Was it, go touch grass, go be a human for a while? Yeah.
Be a human for a while. And it's really great to walk into a lot of these shops, like we were talking about helmet sizing, and I didn't want to go too deep on this, but most good shops will have somebody there who has been trained to size you for a helmet.
Yep.
And 90% of people out there riding are probably in a helmet that's one size too big.
Yep.
So again, getting size for a helmet, we have different head shapes. It's why I'm not super loyal on like only buy an Alpine Star helmet or only buying a Rye helmet. You might have a Shoei shaped head.
Yeah.
And Shoei makes an amazing helmet. Get the one that fits your head.
We had a commenter on the last video say, I can't believe you guys did a whole podcast and you didn't talk about Isle of Man. And we didn't really talk about it much. We
skimmed it. We kind of like touched on it.
To be fair, the day that we shot the last one was prior to any of the racing starting.
Right.
It was like after the practice week and before the racing. So we didn't have a ton of news for anybody to share. If you're really an Isle of Man, you've already got all the news. You know who won all the races. We're not where you're going to get the source of information on that exactly.
But we have potentially, I haven't shared this with anybody, but I'll share it with you guys. They're making an Isle of Man movie.
Oh, you want to share that? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Everyone's aware, right? Brad Pitt, who made the F1 movie, which we all loved. Mm-hmm. Channing Tatum and him teamed up, and they're making an Isle of Man movie. Several months ago, they called me, and they asked for some things, right? So I shared with them, and they said, to say thank you, we can't really pay you. Would you allow us to put your logo on one of the bikes that we're going to use or somewhere in the movie? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, like you never know what happens on the cutting room floor or whatever like that.
I want to see the little Canyon Chaser. Now we all have a job when the movie comes out is to go watch it in the theater and just scan
and see where the Canyon Chasers logo shows up in the movie. I don't know which logo they asked for. The Fleur-de-Lis logo that I have on the race bike, which is kind of like inspired by the old cigarette logos. That's why I did that. Or the circle logo that you see on everything else.
I hope Channing Tatum has a tattoo of Canyon Chasers.
Of the Canyon Chasers. I think they like the Fleur-de-Lis logo is what my guess is going to be.
It's probably a little more fitting for what they're doing.
But yeah, so no, we love Isle of Man, obviously. Like I was so excited when they called me and they're like, we have some questions. We thought maybe you could help answer, blah, blah, blah. I worked with them for like a week or two. So yeah, maybe.
So I'm excited do you have any idea when the movie's actually coming out?
I have no idea. They're filming it now, so it probably won't be until 2027 is what my guess would be. Okay. Probably summer 2027.
Well, one of the things I thought was interesting, so you guys you can go see who won all the races. One of the things I thought was interesting was that they basically canceled the sidecar races this year.
Yeah, I was sad about that.
Isle of Man is one of the only places where sidecars are really taken seriously. There's a few series here and there that have sidecar racing.
You see them, and it always looks like a scene from Mad Max when the sidecar people show up.
They look kind of insane. They kind of are. But they had to cancel this year. They had a couple of crashes, and if you go look, you can find I saw a little video clip of the two brothers that had a crash. They are fine, so don't get too freaked out about that. A few little broken bones and stuff, but nothing too serious, I guess. But what I thought was interesting was they basically have turned engineering onto these little sidecars, and they had figured out how to make the floors of these things effectively like a Formula One car.
Are you serious?
That's what caused the issue.
Oh, no kidding.
That's why they had to cancel it. So basically, they actually have this gigantic surface area. So what's interesting about sidecars, they are a middleweight engine. They're only a 600 in there. And they even put like restrictor plates and things to slow the engine down. But because they're flat and they don't lean, they operate like a car for the most part.
Have you ever ridden a motorcycle with a sidecar?
Nope.
It is, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It is not riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
It's, you have to fight it to go straight and steer it to, like, it is incredibly active. There is nothing, and it wants to flip over everywhere.
I've ridden a trike and I've ridden what's the three-wheeler? It's two in the front. Is it a Spider or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
I've ridden both of those.
You keep putting your foot down every time you stop,
they're not for me. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
they're
not my
me.
jam. It's totally not mine. But the sidecar I loved. I would own a sidecar if I had room. I thought they were great.
What I think is interesting, though, is the outside of them looked very bullet shaped, very, Aero looking.
As they do.
But the bottoms, they'd figured out how to basically make the bottom a flat bottom that had a diffuser profile to it.
To pull it to the ground?
Yeah, so basically it was creating a ton of downforce by kind of sucking the body of the sidecar to the ground. Brilliant. Tons of corner speed, tons of grip. Oh my gosh, that thing's amazing. The problem is Isle of Man is not a prepared race course.
Manhole covers.
And jumps and dips and all kinds of things. And there's an area where the crash happened that effectively, it's a normal road. Nothing about the road is wrong. But at speed, it's like a tabletop jump practically. You go up and it flats and then drops again on the backside.
Holy crap.
And again, in a normal car, no big deal. You just go over the little
If
bump.
you're going 30 miles an hour.
But if you're going flat out, like these guys do, they literally get airborne. And these things, the video clip I watched, there was this great video clip back in the 90s, maybe late 80s, I can't remember where the Le Mans prototypes had this issue where they get over a little rise and suddenly air would get under it and it would just lift up the car and flip the car.
Right. That was a big problem there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they had to redesign and re-engineer all these things. That's where they are right now with these sidecars. He basically, on the video clip I watched, went over this thing and suddenly the thing turns into a wing.
And it wants to take flight.
And it flips,
and the weight
basically just tosses
over.
them.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, I think that's fascinating. They're going to solve it. They'll figure out how to mitigate this risk at some point. They'll get there. But that's why there was no sidecars this year.
So something else to throw out there with Isle of Man. The movie that inspired me and got me really excited about Isle of Man is the movie On Any Sunday 2. On Any Sunday 2, they have a big section about Isle of Man. And it is, I rewatched this a few months ago, to rewatch early 80s Isle of Man racing.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like they were putting cameras on the bikes to make this movie. Now imagine what a video camera looked like in the early 80s. It was a film camera. Yeah. Right. Like it was. And so find a copy. I think I'm sure it's somewhere digitally downloaded. Go find On Any Sunday 2 and look at how far we've come and how far we haven't come. Like the tradition.
Yeah.
It's so freaking cool. It is. I'm so glad it still exists.
We'll have to try and go here soon. I've never been to it, so I want to go to see it.
Yeah,
soon.
I really want to go see it too. It's definitely a bucket list thing.
Anything else this week?
One last thing. The motorcycle that's sitting behind you, we only have 3 weeks left to enter to win this incredible Triumph Trident 660. We've done some nice upgrades to it. Mrs. Canyon Chaser, you're going to have to pry it from her hands. She doesn't want to stop riding the thing. She loves it. It doesn't have many miles on it. Like we're not like abusing it to you, but what a cool bike that you could own. You could be in your garage. And so go to fanofthem.com/Canyon Chasers. You can enter to win. If you're a Patreon member, which we encourage you to be a Patreon member, there's a coupon code in there that you can get 10 bonus entries should you wish to enter. That's a killer deal. And yeah, this bike is phenomenal and you're running out of time to put it into your garage. And I can't tell you how fun this thing is to ride. It is so fun to ride.
It's a good looking little bike. I like it.
I think it's a great looking bike. I love it. I'm going to miss it when it's gone.
Yeah, it'll be sad we'll have to have a different background here.
I know. Well, we have some extra bikes some new bikes that are in here that we need to be doing reviews on. And I just keep riding the Trident.
Yeah.
Like I just keep hopping. And again, maybe it could be because I know it's going to be gone soon. And
gotta get it while you can.
Yeah, kind of. It's a great little motorcycle though. I just love it.
Cool.
All right,
I think that's all I got.
Click like and subscribe. Thanks for all your support.
Yeah. We appreciate it. We will see you guys again next week.
See you next week.